Today's episode begins along the Merrimack River in Manchester, New Hampshire. This is Emily's first time showing somewhere in New Hampshire on her channel. Emily's near the University of New Hampshire at Manchester. We think these buildings used to be old mills, and now they've been repurposed as offices, shopping, or residential space. Emily's at Arms Park, a small strip of green space along the river. At this park is a bronze statue showing a man sitting on a bench, and he's holding a game console. The statue commemorates Ralph Baer, who is considered the father of the modern video game. He created the Magnavox Odyssey, which was the first commercially available video game system that could connect to a TV. The Odyssey came with two handheld controllers used to play those games. Baer also created the popular Simon game in 1978, where it lit up an increasing sequence of buttons and the player had to repeat that same sequence. Baer held over 150 US patents. Baer passed away in 2014 and this statue was installed in 2019. There are the controllers for the Odyssey video game system, and that looks like a ping-pong game on the TV. Atari developed the arcade game Pong in 1972, with some controversy because it closely resembled Baer's ping-pong game. Next to the bench is the granite marker to note what would have been Baer's 100th birthday in 2022. It has the quote, "Follow your gut and instincts because you won't be happy if you don't." Also in 2022, Baer was recognized on the $1 gold coin, which was part of a set commemorating American inventors. Baer's workshop and many of his inventions and prototypes are in the Smithsonian. He was also awarded the National Medal of Technology in 2006. The bronze sculpture shows Baer using one of the Magnavox Odyssey's controllers. This is a nice area in Manchester, with the nearby university, and Baer looking at the old buildings across from the Merrimack River. Baer's invention in the 60s spawned what is today a $217 billion market for video games. Would you believe that 82% of the global population plays video games? A great way to start Emily's day in New Hampshire.
Hey guys, Emily. Welcome everyone! I've been to New Hampshire before, but just passing through on my way to Maine. So this morning I'm here to see mostly historic locations in the Manchester, Concord areas of New Hampshire. Then I'll return to Rhode Island and see a few more things before heading back home. Little did I know this would be my last healthy day in almost 2 months. But I'll talk about that in a later video. But let's see what's in the New Hampshire state capital, and then the area near Rhode Island State Capital of Providence. And my flight takes off from Hartford, the state capital of Connecticut. Lots of state capital visits on this video, so let's go.
Emily's next stop is in Concord, New Hampshire, and she's parked next to this funeral home. We're not far from downtown. There's a vacant lot next to this funeral home, and what's peculiar is at the end of this lot are some nicely trimmed bushes and a short concrete staircase. There was once a house on this lot that belonged to a very famous person. This was one of 2 Concord homes of President Franklin Pierce, the 14th President of the United States. Pierce lived here from 1852 to 1869. An interesting event took place here in 1865, right after President Lincoln was assassinated. An angry mob came to Franklin Pierce's home, to these steps, and asked him why he wasn't flying an American flag to memorialize the death of Abraham Lincoln. Pierce said on these steps that his long record of service to this country spoke for itself when it came to his patriotism. Franklin Pierce passed away in that house on October 8, 1869. This house was on the National Register of Historic Places, but sadly this house burned to the ground in 1981. Franklin Pierce served as president from 1853 to 1857. He also served as a U.S. Senator and Congressman, and also served as Speaker of the New Hampshire House of Representatives. Franklin Pierce was also a distant cousin to former First Lady Barbara Bush. Her maiden name was Pierce. Franklin Pierce was lifelong friends with writer Nathaniel Hawthorne. Hawthorne wrote a biography on Pierce in 1952, which helped to elect him president. As Franklin Pierce began his presidency, he and his wife lost their son Benjamin in a gruesome train accident. Both the president and his wife suffered severe depression afterward. That likely affected his presidency, which was considered one of the least popular in history. But it seems like someone is maintaining this land and the bushes, and Pierce definitely has respect in Concord. Now driving through downtown Concord, on our way to the state capitol building. This downtown area is beautiful, with all these brick buildings on both sides of the road. The area where Concord sits was first settled by Europeans in 1659. The city was established in 1725 and was called the Plantation of Pennacook. Concord was given its current name in 1765. The city became the state capital in 1808. And over there is the Capitol building, which was constructed in 1819. In front of the Capitol building is the sculpture of Franklin Pierce. This sculpture was created by Henry Augustus Lukeman in 1914. The bronze statue is 8 feet tall, and shows Pierce during his days as U.S. President. On this side of the granite pedestal, it says Pierce was a Brigadier General, Puebla, Contreras, Cherubusco, Molino del Rey, Chapultepec. He arranged an armistice with General Santa Anna. Toward the bottom a quote from Ulysses S. Grant, "He was a gentleman and a man of courage." Pierce is facing the main thoroughfare through downtown. This sculpture was installed with mixed feelings. He was popular as a state politician but unpopular as president. Pierce was born on November 23, 1804. He started his political career as a state legislator working in this very Capitol building in 1825. He became a U.S. congressman at 29 and a senator at 32. He was only 53 when leaving the presidency, and he also died young, at just 64 years old. Getting a closer look at this sculpture, you see Pierce is wearing clothing from the 1850s, and his right hand is resting on a wooden pedestal that is draped with an American flag. Not far from that statue is this arch, constructed in 1892 to memorialize fallen sailors and soldiers. There is a walkway leading to the Capitol building. Down here is a time capsule, which was buried in 2015 and will be opened in 2065, 300 years after Concord was given its current name. New Hampshire's State House has its own gold dome. The gold was added in the 1960s. There's only 4.5 pounds of gold covering the dome. The dome was renovated in the mid-2010s in preparation for the State House bicentennial in 2019. Not only is the dome gold, the eagle on top is also. This is a full-scale replica of the Liberty Bell. Yep, the Liberty Bell really is that small. See it for yourself in Philadelphia. We live in deeds, not years. That's a quote found on this sundial, was placed here in 2013, the 150th anniversary of Lincoln's Gettysburg Address, to memorialize the sons of Union veterans of the Civil War. Here's a statue of Daniel Webster. This is the first statue constructed on the Capitol grounds in 1886. Born in nearby Salisbury, he served under numerous presidents, from John Quincy Adams to Millard Fillmore. The state capitol grounds has a brand new statue, just installed in September 2024. Ironically, it's near that school bus, since the statue is of a famous teacher. This is a statue for Christa McAuliffe, who was a social studies teacher at Concord High School. She is famous for being the first non-traditional astronaut to go to space. She was selected to be part of the crew on a space shuttle mission on January 28, 1986. It was a very cold morning when Space Shuttle Challenger lifted off from Kennedy Space Center in Central Florida. It was too cold, as the O-rings failed and caused the shuttle to explode 73 seconds after liftoff, killing the entire 7-member crew. This sculpture was created by Benjamin Victor. The bronze likeness of McAuliffe is 8 feet tall, and depicts her walking in her NASA uniform while in stride, just how she did when she boarded the Space Shuttle Challenger. 500 people attended the unveiling ceremony on what would have been her 76th birthday. McAuliffe is also the first woman to have a statue on the Capitol grounds. This is the second time Emily has visited the hometown and memorial of an astronaut who died on that Challenger mission. She saw Dr. Ronald McNair's Town and Memorial, which is located near Florence, South Carolina. This is a beautiful and moving sculpture, but probably more so for Emily's parents, who both saw the Challenger explosion as it happened. They agree this is a wonderful honor and hope this inspires others. I touch the future, I teach. A fantastic quote from Sharon Christa McAuliffe. Emily noticed this from across the street. Usually bells are on top of buildings, like churches, but this one is close to the ground, which she thought was weird. This bell was manufactured in 1873 and installed on another building, but hadn't been in use for quite some time. In 1998, the bell was restored by the Historical Society and installed here. This new tower was designed by architect F. Dream Cowan. It's not just the bell, but the entire clock assembly was restored just before the Christmas holiday season in 1998. As you can tell, it's a working clock, and Emily did hear bells at the top of the hour. Concord's population is just 45,000 people, and New Hampshire's population is only 1.4 million, both were surprisingly low. Concord definitely has that small-town charm. Just outside of downtown Concord, and Emily's at Calvary Cemetery. We're walking toward this large black granite grave marker where Christa McAuliffe is laid to rest. There are numerous small objects on top of the grave marker and several U.S. flags, and it also appears that there are Christmas wreaths still here that were probably left here months ago during the holiday season. The Challenger disaster occurred on January 28, 1986, but the interment of her remains was on May 1, a few months later. Her remains had been at a military mortuary at an Air Force base in Dover, Delaware, during the investigation into the disaster. There are numerous small rocks, stones, alphabet blocks, and a small astronaut toy with a small ruler on top of the grave marker. McAuliffe's gravesite must be one of the more visited grave sites in the cemetery, given her legacy as the first educator and non-traditional astronaut to be a part of a space mission. She helped people, she laughed, she loved and is loved. She appreciated the world's natural beauty. She was curious and sought to learn who we are and what the universe is about. This image shows an eternal flame and a space shuttle traveling toward the stars. This grave marker was installed on November 5, 1986. A wreath from President and Mrs. Reagan was placed there on that day, which contained 25 red and 25 white carnations, and 25 irises. If you wish to see Christa McAuliffe's gravesite, it's toward the back of Calvary Cemetery, on a small hill. Now just outside of Concord, and we thought it might be a good idea to get gas in New Hampshire, since Massachusetts and Rhode Island are much more expensive. Current price for clean regular is just $2.79 per gallon. After about an hour or so, we're back in Rhode Island. There are a few things around the state capital of Providence that are on the list. Still lots of time before the flight leaves, so let's go check those out. Emily's now in a rather hilly neighborhood in Providence, Rhode Island. It's on the other side of Interstate 95. This is a small park called Prospect Terrace. This park is very well maintained, lots of iron fencing all around. But take a look at this amazing view of Providence. If you want some great pics of the city, this is the place. But Emily's here to see this arched monument. This hillside has been used as a beacon for communication between settlements, then a Revolutionary War fort, then in the mid-19th century it became a public park. Since 1939, this park has been used as a large monument to commemorate Roger Williams, the founder of Rhode Island. Williams himself is laid to rest here. The granite sculpture of Roger Williams is 14 feet tall, and is an interpretation of what he might have looked like. There is a tomb containing his remains, or what's left of his remains. This marker shows various points of interest that can be seen from this vantage point, including the Rhode Island State House, Providence City Hall, the First Baptist Church Meeting House which was built in 1774, Cathedral of Saints Peter and Paul, and various other skyscrapers in downtown Providence. This is a side view of the Rhode Island State House, which appears to be made of granite. We'll see that again in a few minutes. We mentioned just part of Roger Williams's remains are entombed here. His body was unceremoniously placed in an unmarked grave when he died in 1683. They planned to move him to a family crypt 200 years later, and there it was discovered the root of an apple tree had entered the coffin and absorbed much of Williams's remains. If you want to see that tour, it's on display at the John Brown House, complete with where that root may have taken over his hands, torso, feet, etc. That's incredibly creepy. This is where Emily wished she hadn't done post-research, as she originally thought all of Roger Williams was laid to rest here. Nevertheless, this is a great monument to a man who discovered Rhode Island over 400 years ago. It's also a beautiful viewpoint of Providence. Emily wanted to get a quick look at the State House, so here it is. This building is not that old, having been built in 1901. It replaced the old State House, which was built in 1762. If we weren't pressed for time, we'd go to the old State House, but we need to head to some more stops. And unfortunately we're too early to visit a large Mr. Potato Head inside this building, which has a nice carousel inside. So the next best thing is at this firehouse in West Greenwich, Rhode Island. 47 decorated Mr. Potato Heads were placed throughout Rhode Island, but only about a dozen or so remain. This was an art project from the year 2000, when Rhode Island teamed with Hasbro on a tourism campaign called Birthplace of Fun. This one is appropriately decorated as a firefighter, complete with a helmet and a poker. What's interesting is this firehouse recently acquired this potato head. A local news station speculates this was at a child care facility, but we're not sure why it was moved to the firehouse. This reminds Emily of something similar from Dothan, Alabama, where there are numerous decorated peanut statues. If we had more time, we'd see more of these Mr. Potato Heads. One more stop for today, and that's in Exeter, Rhode Island. In front of their property is this giant and scary scorpion made of scrap metal. This is Exeter scrap metal, and they found a very creative way to use that scrap metal to make this scorpion. It looks like old propane tank, corrugated culvert piping, and other pieces of metal. They even used a pickaxe to make a stinger on its tail. Owner Kevin Gilligan created this scorpion in 2012 to advertise its new location. He got the idea from a pest control business in Providence that has the world's largest bug on top of its roof. Looking at the scorpion's front side, it looks like the torso is made from an old jet engine. That's pretty wild. They really made it look frightening, didn't they? There are other scrap metal companies off this same highway, so the scorpion makes this business stand out. The funny thing is, scorpions can't live in the cooler climate in Rhode Island. Scorpions generally live in hot climates, like the South, and especially the Southwest where they are huge. But it's still something to see, and it's not too far from the interstate. It's worth a 5-minute stop. Emily would love to see some more roadside attractions. But we did pretty well with what we could see in about 5 hours. Emily's also looking forward to getting back home.
From the big scorpion, it took 75 minutes or so to reach Bradley International Airport in Hartford, Connecticut. The day after I got home, I started running a low-grade fever and had lots of drainage, which caused a bad sore throat. I went to the doctor and was told I had a viral infection. But then the viral infection turned into a bacterial infection. After I recovered from that, I thought I messed up my back at work. But the pain got worse over the next 2 to 3 days, and I started running a fever. So I went to urgent care, and they told me to go directly to the emergency room. I had an infected cyst on my back that had to be drained. I was also told I was about 8 hours away from going septic, which means the infection would attack my internal organs. I just completed about 7 weeks of seeing doctors, taking antibiotics to make sure the wound from the abscess healed. I did get clearance 3 weeks ago to go to Epic Universe, and I was more tired than normal. The medication combined with the sun caused splotches on my face. But I'm happy that I'm now fully healed, and I'm healthy for the first time in about 10 weeks. And that's it. And that's plenty. I do have the video from Epic Universe, and you'll see that next time. Thanks for watching. Bye!